Singapore's young indoor skydiving team flying the nation's flag high at the world's largest indoor skydiving competition held in Slovakia. It went on a winning streak, bagging 2 golds, a silver and a bronze, and competing with over 250 athletes from 25 countries across 5 categories.
Well, reigning World Indoor Skydiving Champion Kyra Poh added another medal to her tally. She clinched her 14th gold in the solo freestyle open discipline and her first gold World Indoor Skydiving Championships after getting a silver in 2019.
And making her debut at the WISC is Isabelle Koh. The 15-year-old placed 4th in the solo freestyle junior discipline, bouncing back from a spine surgery that saw her having to change her flying style due to that which affected her flexibility.
Well, we're joined right now in the studio by both of these talented young individuals. Congratulations to both of you and welcome to the studios. Thank you for coming in. Kyra, first off, you were here in this studio just a few years ago. So much has changed since then, but you haven't failed to. You astounded us then. You continue to keep impressing us. Tell us about this win in the solo freestyle open discipline. What was it like competing and bettering what you already do so amazingly?
Thank you so much. First of all, I was super happy with my win, and I'm super happy to be able to continue to fly the Singapore flag high. I think it's been a super long journey. My first competition in this World Cup was actually 8 years ago when I was 14 years old, and I've won the Junior World Cup title. And it's been a long 8 years, and actually this was the last title that I had to win in order to be the first indoor skydiving athlete in order to win all of the freestyle titles. So I was definitely really happy about that. This was the first competition where the nerves was high. It was definitely much more challenging, but I was able to control under pressure, and I think I was really happy about it. There was over 250 competitors as well as from 25 different countries. So I think Team Singapore did really well, and we're really proud of how we did as a whole.
So you did. Yeah.
I got a little bit lost in detail. Did you start at age 14 or 12?
The first competition for the World Cup was when I was 14, my first title that I won.
You got into it?
When I was 10.
Okay, all right. So Isabelle, who is 15, am I right? Yes, 15.
Yeah.
Did you start at 10? And if you, well, around there, earlier or later? And if you did, what got you into this sport?
Well, I actually started at 7 years old. My first flight was on my 7th birthday. It was a present from my mom, who actually used to indoor skydive casually with her friends. And she would take me along to the tunnel with her, and I would watch her fly either alone or with her friends and do interesting things. And I found it really cool. So I actually asked her if I could try. But since the minimum age for indoor skydiving in Singapore is 7, I had to wait until I was 7.
Right. So, Isabelle, you had spine surgery and you recovered from that, and yet you still are able to perform and do your routines. I imagine that maybe some of the conversation around that has to be with the medical team, perhaps, who've given you some advice about what you can or cannot do. I mean, how did you actually devise your performance in the wind tunnel based upon, your physical abilities?
Actually, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. That, in other words, my spine is bent, and in late 2021, it got severe to the point where I had to go for correcting surgery where a metal rod was implanted into my spine to actually correct the curve and keep it straight. So this actually affected my flexibility, as in I can't bend very far back or very far forward, and my torso twisting is also restricted. And that actually impacted my flying style a lot, as I used to have a very flexible flying style. I have a background in gymnastics as well, so that really impacted my flying style. And after the surgery, I actually had to think of new ways to develop my flying style. I started to focus more on stronger and more powerful moves rather than the flexible moves, so that I could continue competing and work around the restrictions placed on me by my back.
Isabelle, I don't think you noticed this, but as you were speaking, in fact, right now we're looking at pictures of you doing these unbelievable stunts on screen. Back to you, Kyra. Now, what Isabelle said was interesting, and perhaps to a lesser degree might apply to you as well. in this kind of intense competitive sport, injury brings you down. Maturity also changes what you can do. And in Isabelle's case, she has had to find other ways in which to compete on different strengths. So yourself, from going solo, you're trying new things. So now you're competing in a dynamic four-way open, which is, look, I don't have to, even someone like me knows that will be very different from doing this sort of thing alone. What makes you decide what you want to do differently to play on your strengths?
Well, I mean, four-way is really different, as what you said. I've definitely flew with them individually before in other competitions, which is Isha and Jordan and Tobias, but we never formed a four-way team together to bring it to the World Cup. So I thought that I'm always somebody that likes to try something new. So I really wanted to do it and to be able to be in the four-way team for the Singapore contingency. I mean, you can imagine how difficult it is and how different it is. For example, we all share the same tunnel. It's kind of like 4 different cars driving at the same time, trying to maneuver around one another. However, there's no roads, there's no lines on the roads, and there's not even any traffic lights. So the precision that we have has to be 120% because we have to fly around one another, over and under one another, and even avoid at the same time fly in unison together. So I think it was definitely something really interesting, and we all brought together our each individual strengths. And yeah, it came together
very
really
quick
nicely.
Answer, because Dawn has another question for you.
Yeah.
Did you ever collide with each other, and then what happened then?
Definitely during training, when we're training together, we'll have some bumps again with one another. But because we had a coach and we always have an instructor at the door, so it never got to a point where it was serious, and it was always about just flying our own lines and being 100% into it and putting our effort.
I think right now, Kyra, at home, there must be, you know, very many people with their jaws just dropped watching these images of this, the group of you. The choreography is amazing, and the danger level as well. I mean, there is a certain amount of danger involved in all of that. Incredible pictures. Isabelle, you know, you represent the younger generation in this sport. There are age categories when it comes to skydiving. Kyra, you're just 20 years old, coming 21, but you're already considered a senior, right, in this sport. Isabelle, I mean, for you going forward, you know, what do you want to achieve in this? I mean, you have a strong relationship with Kyra. You look up to her, no doubt, but you must have your own personal goals and where you're going to take this.
Yeah, actually I do. In 2018, I won the Junior Asian Freestyle Championship, also known as ASEANia, and I actually want to take that achievement to the world level just like how Kyra did. And I'm going to keep working on improving myself. I'm going to take a look at other strong competitors and see how I can learn from them. I'm going to explore more into different flying styles, and I'm overall just going to try and make my way there.
Oh, yeah, we wish you the very best to both of you in your journey ahead.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in this evening as well. Indoor skydivers Kyra Poh and Isabelle Koh.